So it'll be later this afternoon just because this is live. As I said, I am right here and it will take a little bit of time to go ahead and upload those as well as to get it rendered for you. So we're going to be talking about making your small business more accessible. If you need anything, learning anything with Google, go to google.com/grow. If you're tweeting or posting, use the hashtag grow with Google. It will let everybody know that you're leveling up your skills. And then also, if you want to tag me, I would really greatly appreciate that. I'd love to connect with you and learn what you learned and what you applied and how your business grows. So that first handle is me on Twitter at Maria Duron, Duron, or me on Instagram is Get Found Got Growth. So you can use any of those, tag me, and I will retweet and repost you, get you a little bit more visibility. I am not going to attempt to go to a video right now, especially after the hard restart that we just did and the ability to be able to connect. So what I did is I uploaded the video there already for you within what I will send you later this afternoon. So you will get not just one video of this actual webinar session, but this video, because it really is a helpful video that really sets the stage and mindset for what we're talking about and making your small business accessible, either online or offline. So there's even online accessibility, and we're really taking a deeper dive into that. But I don't want to chance it and lose you guys by starting a video. Today we will be talking about accessibility. Hello, Cynthia. I see you out there, and Shawnee. Welcome. Design best practices, how you can make your email more accessible, physical accessibility, so really at your store, and then being more inclusive. All right. So what is accessibility? This is really the ability that people who they can perceive, understand, and navigate and interact with all of your online and offline presence. And assistive technology does help with this, but it's important for us to realize that often those of us who can hear and are sighted may not get a good picture as to what it is that people may be missing, that we have context because we can take in visually and audio. And so we need to look at that for our own business. In fact, it does impact over 1 billion people. And we look at that, that's 6 trillion in spending dollars. And that's why it matters to us as small businesses. Now, do know even though I didn't show the video, there are going to be some times where I do try to go out to do a live demo. I'm just going to wait till I get a nice stable reading before I do that, but I will do that. I will probably need to log in when I do that, just because it did log me out of everything when it did that restart. Everything I had set up to make that easy and smooth, so you'll see me in real time log in. So as we build for accessibility, we're really developing digital content that provides easy access for people. So this is a chance for you to tap into that 6 trillion spending dollars, right? It is there. And if people have an experience that is not positive, they don't know what it is that you're really trying to communicate to them, if they experience any friction at all in any of your online presence, there is plenty of other competitors that they can scroll down to do business with. So our job as the business owners is to make sure we make it as easy as possible for everybody, it's inclusively of everybody, to do business with us. And that'll help us expand our market as well as also protect us legally. So some of the assistive technology that was mentioned a couple of slides ago is that you can do voice typing and text to speech. So that is one of the things that I do want to show you. Again, I was logged out of everything. So give me a moment to bring this up, because I will show you that you can utilize, I'm going to sign into my demo account. And I will show you that you can utilize assistive technology right within your Google account. So your free personal Gmail or Google account. You don't have to have a Gmail account. And I appreciate you guys. Y'all are being so good and patient, because this was supposed to be just drop and drag, right? But we flex, right? All right. So let me bring this up front and center for you, and I'm going to make it larger, so in a moment you will get to see it. All right, there we go. All right, so what you're going to do, what you can do for assistive technology is you can go here. This is the Google app keypad. So you can get there if you have a free personal Gmail account. You don't have to have a paid account. This is all at your fingertips. I'm just bringing this up because I'm about free and small fee. So you can go here if you have a Google account. So you do not have and do not want a Google As far as a Gmail account, you can just have a Google account. So this is what it looks like when you log into your Google account. I'm going to make that bigger because I'm broadcasting. So as you see here, this is what it would look like if you didn't have a Gmail account. That app keypad right there where all the Google apps live is right. You can get there in both locations. So in this instance, I'm going to go just right here, click that. I'm going to go into Google Docs. So I'm going to pick up a blank document and I'm going to make that bigger just because I am broadcasting. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to tools and I'm going to go to voice typing. And now if I click to speak, I'm not going to do that because I don't want to throw anything wonky into our audio connection right now. But if you click to speak, you can see exactly how you sound with voice typing. Excuse me. And that's really important because a lot of times we hear, of course, ourselves in our own head. We know our different conjugations as well as our accent, but we don't know how that comes across as somebody's listening to this. And the big thing is to think about how somebody who is using assistive technology is actually hearing this. So people have screen readers, especially if they are not sighted or they have sighting issues. So they're having some challenges with being able to see things. They may have a screen reader going, and if they cannot hear things well, you need to know exactly what it sounds like too. So what you can do here is actually sound out what something sounds like as it's being read across your actual website. So you have an idea, or you can download a screen reader and use it, or put that screen reader that's a Google Chrome extension as well. But this is really nice because you can click here to speak and really see that, knowing that you need to work on your pacing perhaps, and maybe even your clarity and enunciation of different consonants. So this will help you clear that up and really get a good feel for what is being heard by, as we said, $6 trillion worth of spending, right? So actual people as well, not just spending dollars, but you get the gist and the point that we definitely want to make sure that we are making ourselves accessible and easy for everyone to do business with us. And then also text to speech, there are screen readers that you can go through, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. But I'm going to start with design because your online presence is very important that it is accessible to everyone, which means you need to have image descriptions. Let me know in the chat box if you use alt text. You have about 100 characters, so a character is a grammatical mark, it's punctuation, it's a space, but you have about 100 characters to put in what's known as alt, A-L-T, text, T-E-X-T. How many of you use alt text for all of your photos? Okay. Because understand, screen readers are reading that to somebody who's not sighted or who might have challenges and not be able to see that and describing that. And if you don't use alt text, or if you just stuff it with SEO keywords, then you're not being accessible. So not yet. Okay, see people, not yet. Right. And a lot of people I know think it's just for keywords, but remember that Google is not just relying on keywords alone anymore. There's something that's called AI, right? That everybody saw dawn November of 2022 and then started to really roll out to everybody in January, and people are still becoming aware of it. Generative AI or generative search is how Google search is actually changing. And as Google search changes that, um, as Google search changes, then what happens is it is leaning into content that's helpful user content is exactly what it's leaning into. And because of that, that helpful user content is something that we want to make sure that we rank high for, because that'll have a difference in our ranking and where we show up in search, which means that it needs to be easy for people to navigate and consume information on our site. So there's image descriptions, which you can do also in the captions, alt text and descriptions too, color contrast, because some people are colorblind. In fact, a majority of people are colorblind more than sighted, which was also always an interesting factoid that a lot of people do not realize. Then how you actually format everything. So your text and everything, how all that's formatted, how all the text links are actually formatted, all of that is actually very much a part of how people are consuming information, as well as video and transcripts. So let's go ahead and dive into that. I'm going to ask you now to use the chat box to describe this image. I want you to be really clear in it and type out what this image holds as if you were actually describing and filling out the image description, number one, or the alt text and description. So you don't have to, in this case, be limited to 100 characters. In this case, you can go a little bit more because we're practicing using both alt text and image descriptions. So let me know, how would you describe this? Everybody? Thank you, Anita. I appreciate you being brave and being the first one to respond. I was getting a little bit worried. I had to stop to go check and make sure all the connections were working. So a cup of coffee, starting the day, right? Nili, I'm with you. Courage in a cup. That's me. Dark coffee in a cup. White coffee cup and saucer filled to brim with dark chocolate coffee with a silver stirring spoon on the side. Look at Glenna go. An invitation to a cup of coffee. A coffee mug filled with dark coffee on a saucer with a spoon. Dark coffee in a white cup. Coffee in a white coffee cup sitting on a saucer with a spoon. Blue background. Brandy. Hey. Blue background with cup, black coffee, white plate, spoon. Thank you, Don. Look at this go. White cup of coffee with a spoon to the left. White porcelain cup coffee filled with dark coffee, sitting on a white porcelain saucer on a blue background, silver spoon resting on the saucer on the side. Awesome. Awesome. I love what I'm seeing, everybody, as we progress with this, because a lot of times we're sighted, right? So for us, it's a coffee cup with on a saucer with a spoon next to it. Dark black coffee, so it doesn't look like it has any cream on it. That's what we say. But the truth is, if somebody's not sighted, they're not getting that same picture. Because what else are we taking in? We're taking in that it's a porcelain cup. We're taking in that it's on a blue background. Does it look like it's on a tablecloth? Is it on a billboard? Is it a graphic design? Is it an AI design? What is it? Because we, as sighted people, can take on the whole 360 view as well as the audio. So, all the visual behind it, we get that. But somebody who's not sighted doesn't have that. And a lot of times, we ask them to bridge that gap by just saying it's a cup of coffee, because in their mind it could be a cup of coffee, could be this, it could be, for them, coffee is just filled to the brim with all sorts of cream, so it's a lot different. It could be the latte, with all the design. They don't know exactly what it is we're talking about. So our job in making our business more accessible is to take a step back and look at everything that we take for granted, that we just take in because all we need to do is look that way, or look at, and focus on that item. What else are we getting in there? I was working with a team that actually has dog products. And it was interesting because for them, their alt text was Maltese dog on grass. And I explained to them, if someone's not sighted, what are they going to hear as they're going to through? It's a Maltese dog on grass. That's it. But do they understand it's a small dog in a large field of beautiful green grass with fencing, wooden fencing in the background, and in the corner you can see children playing? You need to really build that picture for them when they cannot see that, and we have to use our words or our descriptions to be able to do that. So as we look at that, for example, without alt text, a screen reader would totally miss this. They wouldn't even know this existed if they were utilizing a screen reader. Okay. The written description can also help with SEO. So that's not the alt text, because make the alt text, as far as everything that you want people to see, that you want them to see through the screen reader, but your description now can be serving SEO, search engine optimization, showing you up higher using the same words somebody would use, making you relevant, which is important in Google search. Okay, this does also help sighted people as well. So if you on your menu online have all meals are served with coffee, all right, is that the correct description? All meals are served with an unlimited cup of coffee in a white porcelain cup with a saucer spoon for your ease as condiments on the side, or fixings and mixings on the side. make sure you take a look at all of that and give actually the easiest and best opportunity for people to know what it is that you have and to be able to make a good decision to do business with you, your product, service, or solution, right? So in image descriptions, write a short description. So I'm sorry, in alt text, write a short description. So remember, you only have 100 characters to work with. With captions, they're a little bit longer. So the captions are underneath. And I know a lot of sighted people who look at the captions underneath, who are business owners, will say, oh, but that just looks like, that's just kind of generic, speak. You can customize it, but you don't want to sit there and say, oh, this is the most amazing dog litter box that you could ever find, because you've given them no context. And remember, context, while a lot of people say content is king, context is actually king, or content is king and context is queen. So it's important that we have both of those, okay? It's also important for us to look at color contrast, everybody, right? Look at the left side there, where it's kind of like this lighter gray colored um, font on a lighter pastel colored color, okay? So as we look at that colored block and that font, it could be really difficult if somebody is colorblind compared to something that's high contrast. This is important because a lot of people send emails with things where they just say, okay, I'm going to highlight this. And they highlight it because they're going to be creative. They highlight in a color that's really kind of nice and goes with their brand. But now they've made it unable for somebody to see exactly that you highlighted that, especially if they are having challenges with color blindness. So, are we being inclusive in all our communication, from email to the way we color code folders in our Google Drive or in our Dropbox? Are we doing anything that we as sighted people take in, but maybe somebody who's not sighted or somebody who is challenged with color blindness may not see? So in order to be able to show up, especially for somebody with color blindness, we have to use that high contrast and really thick lines. So one of the things that you'll see me do when I'm sending an email out is I will bold the letters as well as highlight. So I don't just color the letters and just highlight alone or just leave it with regular font. I bold it so that somebody who is colorblind and picks up none of the colors that I just put out there can at least know the difference between a font that is not bold and a font that is. Now, I happen to use fonts that are really easy to use. I love flowery fonts, but I also know when you go to bolding them, or there's some fonts that don't even have a bold option. So in doing that and communicating, if we want to fully be inclusive, we need to look at the patterns that are there. Are we using patterns? So sometimes I'll use dash lines instead of just a highlight. Do we use some textures as well? Don't just assume that because you put red on black, which, just so that you know, a deep red on black all looks like black, or really a darker form or a lighter form of black, charcoal gray. So it really is hard to distinguish, and you can't just assume that that means it's urgent, right? Or stop doing that. Don't touch that. Don't make those assumptions. You know what they say about assumptions. So that's why labeling elements, titles, legends are so very important. So some examples are in color. That's how you can make that distinction. See how those are high contrasting colors? So as we're showing somebody a graph, we can give high contrasting colors, but we can do other things like labeling and giving them some more context. Maybe even providing texture. So see the dotted lines, how there's just several dashes, then a dash and dot, and a solid line. So we have some variations to be able to showcase when we're showing somebody something and saying, look at sales compared to our ad spend. They're not lost because they're both solid lines and they're both different. Hey, there's one that's black, a dark black, and one that's a dark green. So to me, it looks just like dark black if I have color blindness and I don't know which one you're referencing. So you can also look at grayscales and textures as well as your line thickness. Really look at that so you're communicating in the most inclusive way. And with text formatting and headers, we can use our formatting tools that can help us better engage screen readers. So what's nice about screen readers is when we use things like titles, header 1, header 2, it can let everybody know that's using a screen reader how it's being stair-stepped and the importance of each piece. So is it a subtitle? It can give more of that context that you don't even have to put in just because of the way you laid out the actual document or your site. So as we look at text links, this is what I mean here when you're looking at links. Actually give some explanation, give them context. Remember, content king, context queen. So when I say visit Grow with Google homepage, you'll see me do this when I send out the recording that you're going to get later this afternoon. You will see it says, it'll say make your small business more accessible, replay, handout, and slides, and it will be a link. It won't just say this link, because now as people are getting their screen readers to read this link, they're wondering, what is this link? I don't know what this link is. Should I click on it? And we're all pretty wary of cybersecurity and phishing, and we don't want to just click on random things that we don't know. So it is much better when we explain, we actually put the text that explains and gives a description of what this link is, as opposed to just using this link. With video captions and transcripts, this is also important. So we can use automatic captioning in our video. Remember, even if you are sighted and you don't have any disabilities at all, know that most of us, 64% of us, listen and watch videos without any sound on. We are reading the captions, and if we can't read or there are no captions there, it could be an Instagram reel, it could be a TikTok reel, it could be a YouTube short or YouTube video. If there are no captions, we're just going to go on to the next one, because we might be in a crowded area. It could be that we don't want to disturb other people. We're not going to put sound on. So as we look at having captions and transcripts, it's important for us to use a lot and lean a lot into the tools that are available to us, like the ability to have automatic transcripts and captioning, which a lot of the video programs already have, or you can create your own, or even go out to have somebody else do that for you. So as you see here with YouTube, automatic captioning is a part of YouTube already. All you need to do is enable the auto translate feature and closed captioning, which is really exciting here. So you can see the settings to auto translate, and you can do closed captioning right here. You'll see that they can toggle here and utilize that, and it'll come up. And I actually even more so like to use this one. Let's say I'm at a big business expo. So I'm at a business expo, or I'm showcasing things for Google, and I'm in the booth, and because of that, we might have a big video playing, but we have the caption underneath, because there's so much activity and chatting and networking going on that people can't hear anything that the video is actually playing, but they can read the captions and see what the information is and get a little bit more context. Also with Vimeo, you can also enable automated closed captions. So look at that, just toggle that on, click that on to be able to have that auto captioning on during an event. You can also use that in TEDx. You just go here to this icon and click on subtitles, and you will then have subtitles play after a person selects their language. And then of course with TikTok, there's automatic captioning. You can turn that on or off. That's really your call, but I highly recommend you to keep it on, just because, as I said, there is such a wide amount of the population that is not sighted, that has those challenges, and it's good for them to be able to see that. Plus, we also know we do not listen with sound on, so this is a great way for you to engage people and not lose them to other video or other competitors who may have their captions on. So you see this all available to you just within these tools. There's also auto transcript with YouTube, so you don't need even AI for that, but there's so many cool AI things that do this, and I'm pretty excited. I'm actually doing a talk a little bit this afternoon about powering your business with AI, and doing one tomorrow night actually about AI. So I'm really excited, because there's so many things that are even more available, accessible. Let's say if you want to translate to different languages, but you can see just right here with that open transcript, you have the ability to immediately, when you use those three dots, have a transcript of your YouTube video. Now with sharing PDFs, this is also important to look at our PDF, because sometimes, because PDF flattens the actual graphics and the content in there, it is not easy at all for a screen reader to read. It can be definitely challenging. Now I know this goes against anybody who's been in a session that I've done about making sure you're making it easy for people to see information, and you're keeping the quality and the consistency of your brand, because you do want to reduce things to PDF to maintain the integrity of the document design. But in the case where you might be sharing it with people and you don't know whether or not they all have accessibility, and if somebody needs to use a screen reader, then you can see here that you can make it not a PDF and make it easy for them to read through. So as we look at our email, that's another place. Any questions before we go any further? Email best practices are, remember the order, One column layout. I'm sorry, the days of the two column newsletter are so 19, well, actually, maybe more. It was more 2010 is when that was. So the two column email is gone. Especially since we know people are looking at a mobile device and nobody wants to look at all of that text mess, even on a short and small 4.5-inch screen. We want to make sure that our hyperlink text is really clear and don't put it too close to each other. Remember, I'm on a mobile device and I got a big old finger. If I have to tap several times because you put your links all close to each other, it's not a good experience either, or easily accessible. And emojis, I know this is really tough when somebody's getting a screen reader, but I also know how it does draw other people in who can see the emojis, and it really is interesting. So I know people, we wrestle with that as far as marketing best practices, but it really is important for you to understand what's the purpose of the email and what does success look like if the email does everything it's supposed to do, and what do you need to equip in that email to make sure that it can be a successful email. Some of the best practices are a 60/40 text ratio. Remember that when you're doing that actually layout in your email. Do not put a lot of links in there. And everybody, 14-point font. I just did a review of a website yesterday with really small font and very much flowery, more calligraphy type design. That is really tough for somebody to read, as well as a person on a mobile device, a 4.5-inch screen, let alone a screen reader. So that good contrast is also important. At the end, I'm going to give you a lot of tools that's going to help you measure that. So don't feel that now you're just lost in what you need to do next. Physical accessibility, this is so important, and I can't emphasize this enough. I'm not going to read it to you, but do understand, try to navigate your space. If you have a physical location that people are coming in to see you, try to navigate it with some width to it, as if somebody's coming through with a walker or an actual wheelchair, because I actually experienced this just recently. So my husband had knee surgery because he had hurt his knee at work, and he had knee surgery, but because of that, he is in a wheelchair. And airports are not wheelchair friendly when you have to cart somebody from your gates over here or the securities over here to go through, and to get the elevator to take a wheelchair up is way 30 gates that way. And so you have to walk that, pushing somebody, and then walk 30 gates back to be able to go through that security. So again, look at your area. Do you make it easy? We were captive, so we had to do it. It was an airport we needed to use, but it absolutely was not a wonderful experience. So confirm that they can get into elevators, parking spots even. Is there room? So you can be as inclusive as you need to be. Again, it's about not making any assumptions. Really take a look and talk and ask questions. What would help make this easier for you? There's a reason when I'm here in Zoom that I actually make it enable it that all of you can turn on closed captions at any time that you want. I don't turn it on because I'm not going to make that decision for you, but you have that decision. So you can make that decision, and it's at least accessible and available to you. Speak normally and clearly. This is so important because a lot of times our accents and the different words we use don't always come across clearly or picked up clearly with text to speech. And again, somebody's personal space, just because in a physical location, especially, just because they may be in a wheelchair doesn't mean that they want you to pat them on the head because they're sitting down. All right, that is not appropriate. So be very mindful of that and ask those questions. So for you, what is your action plan? Okay, what is it that you are going to do next to apply what you've learned today? Because you've learned quite a bit. What have we covered? We've covered about being able to look at text descriptions. Alt text has 100 characters. We also have a caption underneath. We can use both to not only make it easy and accessible and a great helpful user experience when somebody comes to read your information, but also for Google. And when Google has that confidence, it shows you higher in search, and it really reads that you are helpful to people. So you win on both ends, from the people aspect and also the search aspect. Looking for high contrast and the size of our fonts. Are we using easy or difficult to read fonts? that is some of the things we talked about today. Are the colors of our font and our background helpful or making it even more challenging for people to read through things? Do we actually know how we sound and what the text to speech sounds like? Even today, as I'm doing closed caption for you, if you decide to enable that on your end, then I need to know and test out how I speak, because I know I can speak fast, I can slur my speech together. I got a lot of different things that are regional in my dialect. So it's really important for you to know that and be aware, because it helps you be more present for people who may need you to explain or be more clear for them. How to use screen readers, all of that is something we want to lean more into as well and not be lost to it. And also with our videos, have captioning available wherever you ever video show, from socials to all the way to even being embedded to our site from Vimeo or YouTube. However we're using it, what is your action plan? While you're putting your action plan here, thank you. Jalicia is the first one. She is the brave one to jump out there. I do want to let you know that in the slides that I gave you, so the slides, to be able to find the slides, I'll drop that link again in the chat box, and they are not going to be accessible after the session ends. So you want to get them and download them now. The slides and handout are there, but you will see in those slides and handout, they are PDFs, but there are clickable links in there for all of these tools. So you can see exactly what the accessibility standards are. You can see the contrast checker. So I'm going to go actually, let me go to the actual PowerPoint, because this is all presentation mode. And I'm going to go down there and I'm going to show you where you can see that contrast one. All of these are invaluable to me. I use this list often, especially when I'm working with anyone on their web presence. Oops. I'll show you here. I'm going to bring this up. Okay, hold on. It's just bringing up another page. Control. There we go. All right, and I do have to switch to the other screen. I know it will be small, so I'm going to expand it out. But this is one of the tools there, or one of the links. It is about the fourth one from the bottom. And you can see the contrast checker. So you can see, you can put the foreground color in there in the background, and it'll tell you the contrast ratio. So again, do not feel alone with any of these tools. You can see exactly what normal text looks like, large text, and then graphical objects. This doesn't have to be you. If somebody on your team does web design, if you work with an agency, excuse me, or a consultant who does your web design, I give them this actual sheet from the actual slide. So I turn it into a PDF and I give it to them because it's got clickable links. And I said, I need you to follow all of this because it's important on any device, as well as any color or font that is in line, and making it accessible to everybody as easy as possible. I want it there to be no friction. So you can see this and you can actually bookmark this. Something else, let me see what else you could utilize. Of course, we know the ADA standards are right here. That is another one that you can see. So it gives you all the guidelines here, and you can see everything. These are all now more with a physical location. For a small business, there we go. We can see there's a primer for small business. So this was revised in 2020, giving you a little bit more details. And I'm just now going down the line off of everything that I just gave you access to. The disability support team, so if you need somebody to talk to be able to work with. So you can see the content accessibility. Now I'm not going through every one of them now, but I am jumping around a little bit. So you can see exactly what this looks like, you know, what it needs to look like, what web content developers need to have and have access to. So this is giving them all the tools that they need, especially if somebody does web design for you. Material design guideline. If you're handing out materials to everybody, you want to make sure that it's accessible and easy for people to see. So this gives you an idea of how to have everything set up, that it's clear, robust, specific. How to engage screen readers. You can use this to click on talkback and use this screen reader to read things back to you so you know exactly. There's no cost to this, which is nice because you can go through here, you can use Google's document and the voice typing tool to know how you're actually coming across in screen readers or in closed captions, but then you can also use TalkBack to actually hear what a screen reader is reading through your website and what it sounds like. Is there anything that's extra distractive there? And then also, let me see, I think I showed you, yep, I think I showed you all of the disabilities and accessibility resources here. Here, let me go here. Oops. This is Google's accessibility resources. You have that there. That is about the fourth one from the top. So it gives you all the ability to see what you need and what you have available already to you free with your free personal Google or free personal Gmail account. Okay. All right. That is the list. That is the gold right here. But now applying what you learned is very important. So as you apply what you learn, look to the Google partners who invited you because they have, as I said, the local resources. So they might know a web designer who absolutely is focused on accessibility, and that is everything that they do. So you don't even have to worry about learning curve or time of them learning. They can start applying what you're learning here right away. What is your preferred caption program to use? For preferred captions, I actually have it, I use the built-in native tools, Don. So if I'm on Instagram, I'm using Instagram captions. Now I do use CapCut, which is a editing, video editing that I use for my reels that I use on Instagram. So some of the captions and lettering are there are specifically through that actual program. But most of the time, let's say if I'm going to like an Instagram story, or here in this case, now my YouTube video, when I upload this to YouTube and share it to you all, because I make it private or unpublished so that only you can see it and those who are actually in this session, it will have captions underneath because YouTube already has that built in. I'm all about free or small fee, Don. So anything that I can utilize for free, I use the free captions that are native in the programs and free in YouTube. And then I do use Vimeo a lot too whenever I'm embedding video into a website. And because of that, I toggle on captions there so people can see the captions instantly. And I also make sure that I never autoplay any video to any site. It's a horrible user experience, not even considering anybody who has any challenges. It's a horrible user experience, period, because they're accosted right away with the sound. It also takes up your bandwidth, which means you load slower on a mobile device and you only have 1.2 seconds to load before half your traffic leaves. So I make sure that it's not autoplay and there's captions when they do play. Oh, Nathaniel, the butcher, baker, and candlestick maker. Yes. So now you're a butcher, baker, candlestick maker, and chief accessibility officer, right? Nathaniel, you're all of that. All right, everybody, let's see. Let me go through here. Now, you have your Google partners. They are 100% free to work with. If you want to ask me questions directly, I do have a membership. Yes, there's a fee for it because I'm still a business. Even though I'm on the Google team, all of us on the Google team, so that you know, we all run our own business because they wanted people who actually were just that, Nathaniel, butcher, baker, and candlestick maker. So they wanted people who knew how to juggle things as well as taking care of customers and had that actual grassroots experience, which I do. 20 plus years, 15 of it is in international e-commerce. But if you want to ask me questions, you can use this QR code or that link and become a part of the membership. But remember what I said, your Google partners are there 100% free for you. So remember what I said about being a fan of free or small fee. Exhaust that first before you do anything else. But I am here for you if you do want to connect with me. And you can find me by using this link, bit.ly/find Maria. That brings all of my socials up. You choose the one that you like to use as your most favorite, and we'll connect there. Of course, you can see my website, Twitter, or X is where I'm mostly at, as well as Instagram at Get Found Got Growth. Now, I'm going to model for you the next thing that I do in every session for those of you who've been with me before, that if this has been helpful to you, I would love and appreciate a review if this information has been helpful using this QR code or this URL. Feel free to use that. You don't have to, but I'd be very grateful if you did. And for everybody here who is a small business, just know that this definitely is how you can show up and ask for reviews And that helps you with all of your Google ranking because reviews have such heavy weight within Google's search algorithm, even the generative search, which is AI search. This really does weigh heavily. Get into the habit of asking for reviews. Lastly, if there's any Q&As, let's talk. What questions do you have that I didn't cover here? That sheet is, to me, that's the money sheet that I call it, with all the links, because it gives you everything that you need to be able to apply what you learned today. But the big thing is to apply. Reviews with them using your language helps more. Um, it's, well, you want to use the language that, so reviews in any language. I don't like to doctor anybody's reviews. Here's how you can make reviews work. You want them genuine. You do want to help them and say, you know what, if you would just, I would love a review, an honest review. And if you would say a few words, maybe a couple of sentences about why this was good for you, what you like the most, that would be extra helpful. Okay, because the only reviews that count in the actual algorithm are the reviews that have the ranking, of course, the stars, whatever they are, and the reviews that have text. Any review without any text underneath, so somebody gave you 4 stars, 5 stars, but they didn't put any text underneath, doesn't count at all into the reviews. And you need at least, as far as for a personal brand, you need 60 5-star reviews to really compete nationally, and 120 for an e-commerce. Perfect. All right. Any other questions, everybody? I am amazed we finished a little bit early today. This is nice. Even with our little glitch there, no matter what that was, I have to figure that out before I go into my AI session because I don't want that happening again. So I just want to make sure that my console is all healthy and happy and it's not getting scared by what's happening here in the internet. I'm going to